Hello there, and what we're going to do is start a new series, making some arcade classics. What we're going to start off with in our first series is uh, basically a recreation of Frogger. It won't necessarily be, um, it's not identical to it. It has some variations, but you can learn a lot by just going through the process of um recreating some of the old games. A lot of those were made by one individual over a short period of time. We'll try to get this done in just probably around a week. And so let's get started. The first thing we're going to do today is we're actually just going to go through and do the layout of the level. I've already preloaded all the sprites that are available, and I'll provide a link to the sprite sheet that I created for the game if you want to go from there. So let's go through the different sprites we got real quick. I created a set of water sprites for the turtles, the logs. In the original game, there was just a plain log, nothing special about it. I've added some waves to give it a little more, just I guess some visual stimulation to it. Then there's road. The original had just a few different cars. I created happened to create 6 of them, and then what we'll do is when the game starts, it'll pick 5 of them. So it'll pick 5 and won't pick the same car. So there will be 5 unique vehicles. Some blocks. These are what I use to stub out different areas that are available. One is blocked to prevent the player from going somewhere. The home when you reach the top. Just basically where the water is located and what is considered a safe location. The player. So when the frog is home, and then the frog when it hops. This is just a 4-frame hop. The road, the sidewalk, some visual effects, basically a spawn point, a splash in the water, some white text, a spot. This is for debugging. I'll use that. There's a death sprite, and then a blood splatter sprite. So in the game, when you actually get run over, it's not just going to be a little. It's going to stick around. I think that's all I have. The other thing I created was a small sprite sheet for at the top. There's the small sprite sheet that we're going to use. It's for the home location, and we'll go into that, how to use that for the tile set. And then I have 2 fonts. One's for timer, and then one and then one for just the countdown at the beginning. There's a 3, 2, 1 countdown that we'll do. So from the room standpoint, trying to stick to the original ratio of the screen. We made a room 224 wide and 256 high, and that's just based on the number of, if you look at the original game, how many 16 by 16 squares there could be. And then what I'm going to do is have this enlarged on the screen. So what we do is make the room, the view, we're going to enable our view. Normally it's not enabled, we're going to enable it. We're going to create the room view, which will be exactly the same size of the game room. And then we're going to do a port on the screen and times everything by 4, and then that will get us our larger screen. So we run that right now. All we get is just there. We've got the full length. And this will be our game area that we're going to play. So our sprites we're creating, we have them all at 16 by 16. So let's but then our tile set at the top is going to be an 8 by 8. So what we're going to do is change the size of it to 8 by 8 to make it smaller. And then what we're going to do is add a background image, the one that we had added here for our tile set. And we're going to create, actually, no background. We're going to do tile, sorry. And we're going to do, I think, 3 down. All right, so 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. And what we're just going to do is map them out so that'd be every other. So there, 2, 3. Yeah, that's one fun thing about GameMaker is the there. So it's at 1, 2, 3. And we can make actually it doesn't really matter. We can just make as many homes as we want. So I guess let's go ahead and stick with the original. So there's going to be 5. All right, so what we've done is create our 5 little holes from the similar to the way the original game is. And we're going to create some sprites to represent the areas of gameplay. So we're going to create one that's just water, one that's going to be the home, one that is going to block the player from moving, the one that represents them being in a safe place. The thing we're going to do is create this. Since these blocks exist, what we're going to do is if we're not in debug mode, then we're going to make it invisible. Otherwise, we're going to, so at the top we can either run it in visible or non-visible mode. So actually we'll leave that and add these to these others. And I'm just copying the same code to, it doesn't matter to each one. Then we're going to create the road and then the sidewalk. What we're going to do with the sidewalk is have it determine, actually not determine, it's going to draw itself. Instead of just drawing one square, we want it to tile across. So we are going to all right, so we're going to go back to our room now and start putting more things into it. So we're going to add the water, basically make it a water background. So a little bright. Let's bring down that. Just make it it's a little washed out, but that's fine. So we've got our water for the base, and now we're going to add the road. And we'll just use Alt to make it larger. I'm going to add the sidewalk in. Put it here. This way I don't have to put it all the way across. I just have to put it in one spot. So we're going to have 5 cars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to put the other sidewalk there. Move this down. All right. This road, because because we have blue's our background, we'll just add in another road up here to make it so we can put our score up here later. So it's given us everything we want, but what we need to do is fix our tiles up here, because they look so lovely. What I'm going to do is go back into our global settings, because we're going to make this a pixely game. So Windows, global settings, and Windows 8, or I guess not 8. Windows, graphics. I'm going to get rid of this interpolate so it becomes pixely. Yeah, there. Yeah, we'll probably, I'll go ahead and clean this up. Just make sure when you pick your tiles that you're doing, I guess I don't need this extra row up there at the top. Probably just get rid of that. There you go. It's a simple layout. Again, what we've done at this point is add the tile set at the top, create some objects just for the general layout. Now the final step is we're going to add in the blocks to show where things are safe to be, and so we're going to add in these home objects. And it's going to be safe to be in the road. And at this point, it's not going to be safe to be in the water, so we're just going to leave that there. And the last thing is we're going to add a block down here. Now, if we run it for debug mode, so this is normal, we won't see any of those because we're hiding them when they get created. Oh, I'm going to have to add that code to the beginning of that. If it is debug, I don't know why I did it that way. If it is debug mode, it's not debug, make it 0. That's what I wanted to do at the beginning. Not 1. What we'll do is make these visible 10. Set them higher than the road itself. Make sure this always is seen. So we're going to make one there. Our road is 0. So our road will be bottom. The sidewalk will be 1 higher. And I'll add the water in there as well. Alright. So in this case, I guess I have to add it to the water as well. But notice you don't see any objects, don't see the home. But if we run debug, we will see it all. Yeah, that way when you actually doing debug mode, you can see things better as far as what you're getting accomplished. So there you go. Until next time, good luck coding.